Hey everybody, welcome to the Nerd Squad podcast video thing series. We're back. We're back. It's been quite some time, but we're back. You know why we're back? We're back because there was a new episode from the Marvel Cinematic Universe released this week. It was released this Wednesday. We got Loki, which we've been waiting for quite a long time. When was the last episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier? I feel like that was like
It's been 84 years.
I think it was like 6 weeks ago, honestly.
This was a long 6 weeks, but now we're starting to, kind of go into the sprint here because obviously we have Loki that's playing now, that comes out every Wednesday, and then we have Black Widow, which is opening up July 9th, I believe it is. Which Michael and I, shout out to Michael Anthony Cray, we got our tickets for. Super excited for.
Mandates, love it.
Go back to our little bromance date. So we're back, and one of the biggest differences now is that Marvel and Disney decided to release these TV shows on Wednesday as opposed to Friday. So now we record these on Saturday. So now we've had a couple days to actually think about it and to gather our thoughts. So we're going to be talking about Loki season 1, episode 1. I'm saying season 1 because I don't know. Maybe there'll be a season 2 at some point. Who knows how this thing's going to end? But with that said, we are back with our favorite crew, our 3Js. Our 3Js are here. Joining me today, the wonderful superstar who just released a new song on Spotify, John Polanco. I'm kidding.
Thank you. Latin boy in drag. Why are you crying? It's a bop. Get ready.
So we have a superstar in our little thing right here.
Oh my god.
This is Jared Milian.
That's so weird.
This is his song.
So fun.
Look at him. I love this man. Congratulations, Mr. Jared Milian, superstar is here. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. I miss you guys so much. It's been really cool. You guys all shared the song, which I really appreciate. It's just been like a very, very cool week since the song's come out. So I'm just excited to kind of like do something that's not the song for like a minute, but it has been really exciting and really fun.
So when you accept your Grammy, we expect all of us to get a shout out during your acceptance speech.
So first of all, of course, but do you know what? So is like, obviously in my dreams, I hope that this explodes and I get to like make music for the rest of my life. But in my mind, I was like, I will always, no matter how hopefully famous I ever get, I'm like, I will still pop in on this podcast like every week. Like I could.
Girl, you better. No, we're gonna go do the podcast at your fucking mansion. All right, bitch. We're gonna.
But imagine how cool it's like. They're like, Jared Milian does this nerd podcast like every weekend. Like it'd be so fun. I would love it.
I love it. Also joining us, that beautiful figure that you see on your screen, contouring their face. This is Mr. Jonathan V. Polanco.
Hello. How's everybody doing? I miss you guys so much. You don't understand. Like, I didn't realize how much I needed this until it wasn't happening every week. And I literally would just lie awake at night with thoughts about shows and comics and trailers, the new Shang-Chi trailer, which I'm obsessed with. Like, I'm just overwhelmed with thoughts and feelings, and I am burdened with glorious purpose to talk with you guys about all things Loki, and I'm just so excited to be back. And
what are you gracing us with today from a makeup standpoint?
Okay, so again, I'm trying to go with something a little bit kind of lighter, something a little subtle. You know, I'm just really trying to keep it a little simple. I'm watching Loki in the background.
Not a subtle pink smoky eye. Not a subtle pink smoky eye. Like
subtle pink smoky eye. That's what I'm going for today.
That's like when I wear cheetah print, and I'm like, I wanted to do downplaying today. I'm gonna wear.
I'm gonna look demure. I'm gonna look like I'm approachable.
It's a very natural beat. It's just a very natural.
Very natural, very light. Yeah.
Lip gloss and mascara.
Well, you were looking. You
Just
were
a little
looking.
bit of chapstick. Just a little
That's it.
chapstick. That's it.
You were looking fabulous as always. Speaking of fabulous, you see that gorgeous, gorgeous woman on your screen?
Oh, is it me?
Gorgeous woman on your screen.
GD.
Her name is
GD.
Jacqui Beltran. That
Oh,
gorgeous woman is Jacqui. Hi, Jacqui. What's up?
I missed you guys so much. I felt the same way as John did. Like something would come out and like, oh, what do they think? I know what I think, but what do they think? I need to know. Let me peel back those layers. But I couldn't. I was busy. But you know what? With school winding down and teaching during a pandemic, but during a Patricia, if you will, it was kind of a nice break. I got sleep.
Bring a pastrami on rye. Yes, queen.
It's so funny because it's like we all did miss each other so much, but it's like we act like every single time.
Oh, we were talking every day.
It's like we're not in the group chat. It's like every time something comes out, we do this just via text.
As if we weren't sharing the Eternals trailer.
Oh my god!
Oh god, that too.
Let me just say before we get into Loki, can I just say, Phase 4 MCU has me excited.
It's it.
Girl, they are laying foundations.
Eternals looks fantastic. Falcon and Winter Soldier was fantastic. WandaVision was fantastic. Loki, I feel like, is going to blow our mind.
Mm-hmm.
We get Spider-Man. We get Multiverse of Madness. We get Thor: Love and Thunder. Did you see his arms?
I have never wanted a man's whole arm in my body, but
I definitely have.
Then I saw that, and I was like, I didn't know that this is something that I'm into. But now I need to.
Let me tell you,
Mr. Hemsworth.
The Hemsworth genes are unbreakable. Those men are gorgeous. All of them. It's like, I just don't I think I'm cute. And then I look at a picture of them and I'm like, what water did they drink in Australia where these men just come out they're like Australian gods? Yeah. Literally, they're of course he's Thor. Of course.
It's because they freaking wrestle spiders the size of camels when they're 2. You know? That's why.
How did he get bigger? Because he was already pretty bulk.
Yeah.
And then I see this picture and I was like, how big are you expecting to get, sir? This is not fair.
They're not allowed to have any more talent. They're acting and they're beautiful people. No more.
And they seem nice as well. Like that, on top of all that, they just all of them seem nice. Screw you.
I love a well-adjusted celebrity. I love looking at someone that I'm like, oh, they seem just as cool. I can enjoying them because I feel like they're nice people. I love that.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Well, the Australian actors seem really nice. Like Hugh Jackman, I think is Australian. Am I wrong?
Mm-hmm. I think he's from New Zealand.
New Zealand, yeah. He did that New Zealand movie too.
That's right. I forgot about that. All right, friends. Let's get down to business. to feed.
The variance.
Okay, so we got Loki episode 1 that just dropped this past Wednesday. Some initial thoughts. I really liked it. I like that Marvel is starting to embrace its weirdness, and it seems as though they are taking chances. Like they're just kind of like, let's just see what happens, because I feel like DC, sorry to bring it up, DC, but I feel like they don't do that. No. It's very formulaic, and Marvel has been like, listen, we could put anything out there that we want, and let's hire the right people to write it and direct it and star in it. Because I think that says a lot about Marvel, because the fact that they're getting these big name stars to not only play these roles, but to also return, because he's playing.
I was gonna say they're committing to multiple films.
Yeah, he's been playing Loki for a long time, and he could, after he died in Endgame, he could have easily just hung it up. Mm-hmm. But he's back because not only does Marvel love him, he loves it. Hearing him talk about how excited he is to play Loki. So I really liked the episode. Shout out to Owen Wilson. I thought Owen Wilson as Mobius is brilliant. I thought their dynamic between those two are great, and I'm excited to see where it goes. Jacqui, I'll start with you. What did you think?
I liked it a lot. It was a good beginning. A lot of people were connecting it to Stranger Things just because it kind of hints at kind of what multi-dimensional stuff. And I thought the same thing. I immediately, as soon as I saw the whole devil horn thing, the devil character, I immediately thought Mephisto. I was like, they're not going to give it to us.
You
That's
and
a
the rest
lie.
of Marvel world, right?
Yeah, I think they're just really riding that Mephisto train in that first one. They're just like, let's not give them what they want. Let's just tease them just a little bit longer and not give it to them.
I love, I love it. I love it. John, what did you think?
So I am again, like it's not that I wasn't excited for Loki. With the minute that I saw the trailer, I was like, this is gonna be amazing. WandaVision, I was most excited for. Falcon the Winter Soldier, I enjoyed immensely. But like WandaVision is a study of Wanda kind of going through like trauma and almost kind of like, really relates to trauma as a whole. Falcon and the Winter Soldier is like hitting you with race relations in America, like hardcore. This show, I'm so happy because I'm like, I think it's just gonna be about Loki. Like, there's gonna be no overarching theme. There's gonna be no like, it's just gonna be him figuring himself out. And they already laid the groundwork for the stakes by being like, girl, them Infinity Stones, oh, they're paperweights here.
Yeah.
They're nothing. They're nothing. So he's like, oh, so my whole existence is meaningless here. So I'm really excited for him to kind of like uncover who he is. And the thing is that's crazy is that this first episode, which I love so much, I think it's phenomenal. All of the people who have watched the first two episodes said that this episode is like the boring episode, which I am like flabbergasted because I'm like, wait, what? This is boring? I'm loving every second of this. And you're telling me this is boring? Can't wait to see what not boring looks like for this show.
I loved it. Jared, what did you think?
I loved it. Loki's a big favorite of mine, obviously. I think he's a great character. I love Tom. I think he plays it really well. I think it's definitely really interesting. I agree with with all of you where I think it's really exciting. I've said this on this podcast before, like WandaVision, I think WandaVision was just like the sweet spot. You know what I mean? I think it had been a long time before we got anything. I think that like Elizabeth Olsen is such a beautiful actress. I think it all was such a beautiful emotional journey that like no matter how good everything else gets, that's going to be like Christmas almost because it just has that feeling of like so being beautiful. But this, Kairos, I 100%, you said this in the group chat, I 100% agree. I think it's hands down the best first episode of any of the shows. I think it gave us the most as fans. I think a really interesting, like with the Mephisto thing, I think like what I like about the fan theories is like, some of us that have been reading comic books forever, I don't like to gatekeep stuff. I think it's weird when comic book fans are like, you don't know the comic. I think it's so weird. What I do love about all of the theories is it's not so much me when I like am excited about something. It's never like me wanting to be like right. It's almost like me wanting to see Mephisto because it's like I've had this character. I've been waiting to see this character on screen for 20 years. You know what I mean? And it's like this thing, like, obviously I want Storm to be in a film, but it's one of those things where it's like, it's less about me being like, I knew she was going to be there, and more about me being like, holy, if like I could go back to being a kid, you know what I mean? And not people. But my favorite thing about it actually is that we cut Loki off at Age of Ultron or at the first Avengers film, because all of that growth that we saw Loki go through, we
it's
now
taking us back.
Go in a different direction, maybe. So it's like that Tesseract Infinity Stone scene, which we all loved, is so cool because it's like exactly like you said, John, at that moment, the Tesseract is Loki's existence. We don't have Ragnarok. We don't have Endgame and Infinity War. It's just that to me is like, I can't really put into words how cool I think that is to go back to like 4 or 5 years ago or 2012 when that movie came out. And it's like, and now we start again with Loki. Like we get that Loki. I think that's so cool.
Right. So the episode starts off, speaking of going back, this is actually a perfect segue. So the episode starts off with Endgame, where we see Loki, where we last saw him in the MCU in this timeline, in the Nexus timeline or whatever, where the Avengers have captured him during the first Avengers, and but the Endgame Avengers have gone back in time to, you know, make sure all this stuff goes down, whatever. And so Hulk comes busting through, and you guys all remember it. He grabs hold of the Tesseract, and then he disappears, and that's the last time we saw him. So the episode picks up exactly from that.
From that.
And it's been something we've all been wondering ever since Endgame came out. Like, okay, where did Loki go? And so Loki ends up teleporting halfway across the planet and lands in a Mongolian part of the Gobi Desert, where we meet we get introduced to the TVA in a way. We get introduced to the Time Variance Authority, which is exciting. So let's talk about the Time Variance Authority here, because this is a big deal. I feel in the MCU. So he meets the TVA, and the TVA is pretty much a company that is used to keep all of the sacred timeline intact, so that there's one single timeline. And anyone that steps off of that timeline creates what they call a nexus event, which is a branch in the timeline that could easily go out of control. And then the TVA will arrest the offender and set the timeline back to the original path with those reset charges. So what happens is Loki creates a nexus event, TVA shows up and arrests him, and that's how the episode starts. So TVA, what are your thoughts on the TVA? John, I'll start with you.
So I'm not very familiar with the TVA. The first time I ever kind of heard about them was literally watching the trailer for this show and just being kind of like, you know, inquisitive about it. I'm not really sure kind of what to make about them. We've talked about it kind of in the group about thoughts we think about them and who they may be and what they may be after and blah blah blah. Again, I love Loki screaming like they're all bureaucrats. I'm just like, yeah, they all kind of just seem like they're almost blindly following these, like, again, space lizards, and I'm interested to see kind of what they're kind of gonna do, what their purpose being there is for, and why there are people that are kind of against them. Like, I feel like it makes sense that, like, again, the variants who are like on this kind of branch timeline are like I don't like you people, but it seems like they have a very specific type of enemy who's targeting them. So I'm wondering, why is somebody targeting them? Why is someone going after them? But I'm very excited. I don't know what's going on in the most exciting of ways. So
Jared, what did you think of the TVA?
I have a limited understanding of them. They started in Thor, like they first came out, like they were in like Thor comics. So I'm excited that Loki and the TVA are together. I think it's really cool. I like the idea kind of I think that this is going to lead us into both Multiverse of Madness and Thor 4. I think this is going to have opening and Spider-Man, yeah. So I think, like, for me, I love any time where we break the rules and then we explain them. Yeah. Almost like how he's like, but the Avengers, they did the same thing. And they're like, that time travel's allowed. This time travel is not. So they're like, you were supposed to get captured. You were not supposed to be out here. So I think it's like, cool. I'm really excited to see where it goes. I think it opens up a lot of possibilities that as a watcher and a fan they won't seem nonsensical. You know what I mean? You'll be like, oh, well, the TVA can do that. And it makes sense because they've explained. Right. So I'm excited.
I think one of the most exciting parts is that I don't know how this series is going to end, at least season 1. But if they were to make a season 2, I feel like it would be easy, especially if Loki ends up stuck there, where like the series just follows him, you know, helping the TVA reset timelines.
Yeah,
like that.
I think it's what I like the most about it is with Loki in particular is I think that it resets him for us, and I like that they showed his whole memory and everything. They showed him dying, because I think what they're saying to us now is that was that Loki. This is this Loki. So this Loki. This Loki is going to expand. I think we're going to see this Loki for years to come in the MCU. So I'm very, very, very excited. I'm very eager, and I don't know if it's confirmed, but I'm very much hoping he shows up in Multiverse of Madness. I really.
And you know, I think he might, and the reason why is that, and this is so dumb, but I saw this. I don't know if John, you sent this to me or somebody. I saw this on TikTok, but somebody was saying they were interviewing Tom Hiddleston, and he was talking about celebrating his birthday on set. He was on set playing Loki, celebrating his birthday. His birthday is like February 9th of this year. So people were like, what were you on set for when you were Loki on February 9th? And people were like, we think he was on set for Multiverse of Madness.
And they've done all these blackout interviews with Elizabeth did one, Benedict did one, and Tom Hiddleston did one where it's a black screen because they can't show what they look like.
Right,
so I'm like, what is that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are we like in for?
Jacqui, what did you think of the TVA?
Yeah, I have a limited knowledge of TVA too. The only thing I know about the TVA is that the She-Hulk was on time trial at some point. But I always think that, like, I always have this misguided thought that no, they're not going to do that. That's really hard to convey. And I thought that when they pulled off WandaVision, and they just keep on pushing barriers where they're trying to convey something super abstract, because the TVA kind of like monitors all time, so it's really complicated. I don't know how much they're going to use them for, because like really there's just, the universe gets bigger and bigger, right? Like She-Hulk is going to get her own TV series, and she's been on time trial before, and then Hawkeye is gonna get his own series, and he's been on time trial before, so really it could like trickle into anything. So I want to see what exactly they're gonna use him for, if it's just gonna be just this incident to convey the whole the fallout of Infinity War, or if it's gonna trickle down to other things.
Right. It's funny, Jacqui, I'm glad that you said like expanded universe, because phase 4 is definitely doing that. So not only are we getting the TVA timeline side of things, but as we mentioned before, we're getting a multiverse, which is confirmed, right? And we're going back in time to the Eternals, who also, like the TVA, they were there watching the whole thing, but they didn't do anything about it, you know? So I'm curious if like honestly how long Marvel will play that card of, well, we've been around, we just didn't do anything.
I think it's actually, I think the multiverse thing opens up a lot of possibilities for that, because I read this article the other day, of course, about the X-Men, that was talking about the X-Men with the Eternals, and what they're saying is the TVA makes a lot of sense, and the multiverse makes a lot of sense in a way where it's like they're controlling kind of what's allowed to happen and what's not allowed to happen. And it's like with the Eternals, almost it's like they've been here the whole time, but like, not to sound like such a nerd, but Angelina Jolie's character, I think, is like a cousin or a sibling of Thanos. So it's like, I feel like it's going to tie into maybe some family issue or like, why, you know what I mean? Because it's like,
that would be a lot better than what they did in the comics. In the comics, they're just like, the Celestials didn't know he was collecting the Infinity Stones. And it's just like, how didn't they know? They're the most self-absorbed gods on the planet, and they didn't know.
It's such a controversial opinion. And like, Jacqui, I don't know if you feel the same way, but I like MCU Thanos more than I like the comic Thanos. I think that like he's way more grounded as a character, in my opinion, in the films. He's so like fantastical, I think, in the comics. And I think it's interesting because I like that Thanos is like dead, and we're gonna now go into like this whole thing. It's just like it's very fan service, and like, you know, it's just good, I think. And I don't know if we're gonna talk about this, but they announced that Jamila Jamil is in She-Hulk, and I am losing my mind over it. I'm more excited about She-Hulk than I ever was, and now I am very, very, very excited.
Yeah, and I love her because I'm a big fan of The Good Place, and I think it's gonna be fun.
And she's just such an outspoken person, and it's just so good to see someone as socially aware as she is get something as big as the MC.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the other variants that we get here in the series. So the big reveal at the end of the episode was that they need Loki's help, because the person that is hunting down the TVA agents, they say, is Loki. I don't personally think it's him or a version of him. I think it's Lady Loki. That's my guess. So Jared, I'll start with you. Who is the other variant?
So my issue with it being Lady Loki is there's a lot of stuff in the comics where Loki is Lady Loki. Do you know what I mean?
It is confirmed that he's gender fluid.
So it's like, I don't want it to be an actress playing Lady Loki. Like, I mean, I do, but I want it to be as if Loki is switching his gender, if that's what we're gonna do. I just don't trust the MCU anymore in a good way. So I think I would love it to be Lady Loki. I've read all this stuff. I'm excited. I think Lady Loki is too obvious. I think that it's going to be someone. I really feel like this is going to be the one that connects to the films the most. And I think that it's going to be a villain that I would not, this is going to sound crazy, but I would not even be surprised if we don't find out who it is. I'm not even kidding. Like I would not even be surprised if the whole time that it ends on a cliffhanger and they're like, you'll find out later. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Jacqui, who do you think the other variant is?
I don't know. Like, I'm so out of my depth here. I feel like a lot of people like Thor. I never read any Thor comics. I just never felt like reading any superheroes that were too on the nose. Like, just like, I fight for peace. I'm the son of Odin and this real grandeur. I didn't like those grandeur characters. I like the cinematic Thor much better. Right. I don't know. I immediately thought Mephisto, and then people said it was probably another version of Loki, and that the window, like the stained glass, was more so like a artistic portrayal, like the horns were to represent Loki's horns on his helmet.
That's what I think too. Yeah.
Yes. So I don't know. That's exciting too. It's exciting not to get blinded by all my useless comic knowledge and just watch it with an open mind.
Just let the record show that this group calls me the Debbie Downer when it comes to fan theories, because I'm the kind they'll be like, oh, I think this and this, and I'm like, no, probably not.
But actually,
I think it could easily be. I think if this show came out first, you could not tell me it wasn't Lady Loki. Do you know what I mean? If this show came out before any of the other ones, I'd be like, it's Lady Loki. But now there's been so much like teasing that I'm like, it could be Mephisto at this point. You know what I mean? It could be. Right. It's like they have numbed us so much that it's like, I don't know whoever it's gonna be, I'll be pleasantly surprised.
Exactly. Like, I know about Mephisto. I don't know anything about like Thor's interlacing, so I'm just like,
and you bring up a good point quickly. You bring up a really good point, because if you read the Thor comics, the font, when Thor speaks, the font is literally, they do a different font, because the Thor comics read very much like mythology, and they're not as present as maybe like Iron Man or X-Men are, where it's like a little bit more like, so they're not as easy of a read as they are a watch.
Right. Yes.
John, what do you think? Who's the other variant? Is it you? Are you the other variant?
It's me. I am actually. Yeah. They're not my. Yeah.
It's Storm.
I didn't know if I should. I'm not really allowed to say. I've signed a couple NDAs, but yeah, I'm gonna be in the MCU. Yeah. No. You know who I wanted to be? I wanted to be Steve Rogers. Like, I wanted to be a variant Steve Rogers that, like, again, went off the freaking branch timeline and just, like, is now, like, just has lost his mind. I don't know.
We're also numb. We're also numb to it.
Exactly, and which is brilliant. I give credit to friggin' Kevin Feige and everyone working in the inner friggin' sanctum of the MCU. Because again, with WandaVision, we all had all these theories that we wanted to happen. Same thing with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And now we're just kind of at the point where, like, we're 2 shows deep, and we're going into the third one, and we just don't know. We have no idea what's gonna happen.
So next. You are now where I was back in the middle of WandaVision.
Yeah. I'm just like, I don't know. Whatever's gonna happen, I'm most likely gonna love it.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious, because y'all used to make fun of me for being like that, by the way.
No, we still make fun of you.
We still make fun of you.
No, I love how Jared's saying, like, we never made fun of you, and me and John are in the same wavelength. We're just like, yes, we made fun of you. Absolutely.
I made fun of you. I will continue making fun of you.
Because Kyra, you're like, I'm so excited. There's gonna be all these balloons. It's gonna be beautiful. There's gonna be rainbows. And Kyra says, like, I think it's gonna be fire and a rain cloud, and everyone's gonna hate it. I'm like, Jesus, these are comic book movies.
Fire was in the forecast. I'm just saying, I don't mean to ruin the day. I'm just saying.
But it's also, then you have so many other sides to it, because there's been so much information that said we were supposed to get a Mephisto connection in WandaVision. We were supposed to get Doctor Strange in WandaVision, but the pandemic messed it all up.
It messed it up. It did.
Goddamn Patricia.
Pastrami on rye.
So this last section here is something I call quick hits, where I'm going to say something about the episode and just real quickly just give your thoughts about it. Cool?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. First and foremost, Jacqui, we'll start with you. Owen Wilson as Mobius.
I just love Owen Wilson. I think he has like that good cop vibe to him. We're just like, you want some coffee? You know,
Yeah.
we're just gonna kick back and relax,
Oh.
and we're not gonna talk about traumas,
Oh.
except we are. Like,
Right. He was definitely my therapist. I was watching, like, that's my therapist. That's my therapist. He's saying exactly what my therapist says. John, Owen Wilson as Mobius.
Yes, Daddy. Into it. Love it. Here for it. Wow. Here for it.
Jared, Owen Wilson as Mobius.
I love it. I think his way of speaking and acting really lends itself to somebody more deviant than he's played before. And I think that calmness to him is very much like Jackie saying good cop, but I also think it's like bad cop too. And I think it's like,
there's something there that we
I just think it's,
to yet.
and it's not like he's doing something different than he's always done, but it's like the way that it's happening to me is very like, oh, I'm like, that's like almost insidious kind of. I like love it.
Right. John, in this, there was a throwaway line in this episode where Loki says that he realized that there were two Tony Starks at that time.
Smell that cologne, girl.
Yeah, he could smell the cologne of two Tony Starks. What did you think of him realizing that they came back in time? Which is like really interesting for him to point out and realize.
I mean, you could tell that he noticed, you know, like he was seeing the friggin' box jump around. Tony just all of a sudden have a heart attack randomly. Like he's not dumb. He even says in the thing, I'm not dumb. I know, I'm smart. I'm smart. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I'm smart.
I don't know why that stood out to me so much, but I was like, they're just going to throw that line away. He realized that.
Well, again, I think it's setting the foundation for who Loki is as a character. He's very much an Oedipus Rex. He's very much it's not my fault. It's their fault. It's their fault. It's their fault. He's always kind of been this person that kind of looks for everybody else to be the problem when it is so clear that he is the problem because of him. And like that was what was so great about like Morbius just sitting him down and looking through his greatest hits, because he was like, you keep making it seem like everybody else and everyone's keeping you from your purpose and stuff like that, but like the only person that's keeping you from your purpose is you, boo boo. It's you. So yeah.
So there's also been some talk, and this is where I get made fun of because I'm like, people are looking way too into it, and I don't think it's true. You already know where I'm going with this. People are saying that we saw Peggy Carter in the episode. I don't think it was. I think it was just, I don't think it was, nor do I think it'll be of importance at any point in time.
Most likely not.
Me, being the fire balloon guy that I am.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think I agree too. It's just, God damn it, Kairos, let us have fun.
I think it's also like, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if
blowing
it
up the balloon and he's the one with the freaking needle to say, actually.
Okay, y'all wait till Thor 4 comes out. Y'all wait till Thor 4 comes out, and I will literally just text Kairos and be like, request for routing number, because you said I'm gonna have all the money in your bank account if Storm is in Thor 4. But I think that the Peggy thing is, Marvel has made so much noise about how they want to kind of erase Agent Carter and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and those shows from canon, that I think it would just be confusing. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a throwaway, but I bet they'll never address it.
It's a shame, because I actually liked Agent Carter, the TV show, and we actually did get an Agent Carter, the Tony Stark's limo car driver and partner. He was in Endgame as the same character, which was nice. But speaking of erasing from timelines here, they pretty much confirmed, like you said, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the whole TV series is pretty much non-existent, because they showed Phil Coulson's
death. Yeah,
they said they weren't going to acknowledge that forever ago.
Yeah. So they legit were like, yeah, it was a nice.
I think they
try.
just want to have more. I think Disney wants to have autonomy kind of over this timeline, and that's what I always say in the group chat, where like, I don't think it'll be 100% necessary to watch these shows, but I do think they're going to live as like chapters in these stories, and I think that like Disney is like, these are the shows that we're controlling. This is where it's. So I think that like I didn't like dislike Agent Carter. I'm more interested in these shows because I think it's finally, Loki's coming into his omnipotence and Wanda has come into like her all powerfulness. And that's really very much speaking to who they are in the comics. They're both pretty much unstoppable.
Mhm.
So I think to have them kind of come into that it's easier for them to be like, let's flesh this out in a TV show. So when they show up in a movie and they're these unbelievably powerful beings, you understand why. It's not like, how did that person become?
And don't forget about
Right.
Falcon too. Don't forget
I also-
about Falcon. You skipped over him. He became Captain America.
I don't. I like the storyline. I love it. I don't care about it as much as I care about the
Well, I
others.
know that, but you were talking about people coming to fruition during a TV show. He became Captain America.
But I mean, according to you, he became Captain America when Steve Rogers gave him the shield.
He
So
did.
we don't. So we don't need the show.
I see
We
what
don't
you're
need
doing.
the show.
Listen,
We got-
listen, listen,
Oh,
listen, listen,
We don't need the show.
listen,
We got
listen,
the
Linda,
shield.
Linda.
Dad,
Captain
you're arguing
America.
again.
Captain America, as Sam Wilson's Captain America is in Avengers Campus. All right, they
Yes.
have him
Yes.
there. Guess who's not in Avengers Campus? Wanda Maximoff. All right.
That's
Wait, you know who else is at Avengers Campus? Campus. Loki in the TVA. In the
I
TVA.
know. I saw.
Oh, wow.
everything.
I think they're great. I think that all three shows are like chapters in a film, and like it's
100%.
interesting because I think it is three stories about three people coming into their own, and they're told so differently that it's impossible to not just love them. You know?
Yep.
And it's almost very clear that these three shows are probably going to they're probably setting these characters up for bigger parts in the
Right.
MCU as a whole.
Right.
I don't
Jacqui.
think
You know?
they anticipate these things actually having ripples later on. Like I always know that they act like it, like in Infinity War. They're like, yeah, remember when we wrote this 10 years ago? And I'm just like, you're just bringing that in now. You didn't plan that 10 years ago.
Right.
So let's say like they, everybody thinks it's Peggy Carter. If they decide they want Peggy Carter involved,
They have that
like, years
option.
later, yeah, they're like, yeah,
Which
they
is the
planned
thing.
that in
Well,
Loki.
look at all of like after WandaVision was done, there was so much like that's it, and now they're doing all these interviews that they're probably going to make a second season. So I think that it's like so much of it is based off what we love and what they love. But to your point, Jacqui, I think it used to be like throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping it would stick. But I think now they saw that it worked last time, so now I think there is more intentional Easter eggs and more because they're like, wait, people like this shit.
Right. And it's
Let's
more-
follow the
it's
breadcrumbs.
more under one roof now than it was back in those days as well. Because like even Marvel TV had you had the Marvel Netflix shows, which had a different runner at that time. You had the like the Hulu show, like the Runaways.
Which was a great show. Runaways was a great show.
I never watched it.
It's really good. It's a really interesting show. Yeah.
All right, so let's give some final grades here. Scale of 1 to 5, or I guess 0 to 5. 0 being this was awful, 5 being this was great, fantastic. Jared, what do you give episode 1 of Loki?
A 10 if I could. A 5 definitely. 100% a 5.
Oh, well, wait, why did I do 5? Let's 0 to 10. Sorry.
10. 10 out of 10. I think of every first episode, I have not one thing wrong with it. And I had criticisms of both Falcon and Winter Soldier and the WandaVision first episode. And I think that this is 10 out of 10.
Nice. John, 0 out of 10. What do you think?
She got so much to say, and now she's going to give us a pause? A pause over there?
No, because I want to give it a 10, but like at the same time, I don't want to be too excited. I'm like,
Kyrus
you know what?
is contagious now, y'all. See, Kyrus is contagious.
Listen. I gave it. I think I gave it an 8. I gave it an 8. I didn't give it a 10. I gave it an 8.
I'm thinking 9. Because I'm like, it is so GD near perfect. But there were definitely some moments where I felt like certain gags maybe ran a little bit longer. Things where I was waiting for something to happen. Not in anticipation, but just like, oh. Okay, and again, thank you, Marvel, for giving us the 50-minute show that we've been wanting, for the longest time, and it's not, 25 minutes of freaking end credits,
I'm so traumatized. I'll never get over that. I'll never get over that.
So I'm very happy for it, but again, for that flip side, I feel like the pacing was maybe a little bit off, and maybe it was a little bit longer in the tooth than it needed to be. But it's still a 9. It's phenomenal. It's amazing.
Right.
You're not gonna be bored watching this. You know, you're really gonna just love every second.
Jacqui, 0 to 10, what'd you think?
It's only the first episode, y'all. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Like what they set the groundwork of like what the tone is gonna be, but I think it's way too soon to like grade it super high. I would grade it more around like a 6 or 7, more like
That's
a
fair.
7.
Hopefully none of your students are in this class, and hopefully none of your students are listening, and they're like, damn, I did really well on the first project of the marking period, but I guess it was too good.
That's hilarious. No, my students never find me on social media. Now that you said that, though, when I go back on Monday, they're gonna be like, "You do a podcast." I'm like, "No, don't watch it. Get out of here."
Give it a 7.
You can't know I'm a human being.
In all honesty, though, Jacqui, I probably would have given it like a 7 if I didn't feel that it was the best first episode of the 3 that we've gotten so far. I probably would have given it a 7. But I was excited. I was happy that they like really did a damn good job with setting things up. So I'm like, let me just give it an 8. But it probably would have been a 7 for me if it were, honestly, if this was the first show, or even the second, I probably would have given it a 7.
I just like to be, you know, for me, like, I think it's cool. For me, it's like, I just like, it hit every button for me. And I just like, I want to make sure I say her name right, but like, to see Wunmi Masaku from Lovecraft, like, I loved Lovecraft Country. I don't know if you guys loved it. I loved it. And she was definitely my favorite part of that entire series. I thought her story was the most powerful. And to see her in this, I was just so excited. I wanted to give her flowers before we didn't finish. But I think it's like, I think, you know, I'm trying to be less critical. So I think that if it had come out, if it was the first show, I probably would have given it like a 7 as well, a 7 or 8. But now I just like want to be open and enjoy it. So I'm like, I'll give it a 10, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. That's perfectly fair. So Jared's going to be giving 10s for the next 6
10s
weeks.
across the board. Yes.
I will. I can't wait till the end when we grade them, all 3 of them next to each other, because y'all gonna be
oh God, yes.
Thank you. To my friends, thank you so much for hanging out with me on this beautiful Saturday. I was outside. It was really nice outside. So make sure you go.
it's like a beautiful like spring, like end of spring, early summer vibe outside today.
It was really nice this morning. So make sure you go out and get some fresh air, not only to my panelists here, but to everybody listening and watching right now. Go get some fresh air. Damn it.
Enjoy the weather that Storm has given you.
Here we go. Here we go. Jared.
Now we're making fun of Jared.
Jared, John, Jacqui, my 3 J's. Thank you so much for joining me today. Everybody else, if you enjoyed this, please be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. That way you're going to be notified whenever I post something here about Marvel or Gilmore Girls or whatever it is I'm reviewing at the time. And then you can also follow me on your favorite social media platforms. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, whatever you want, at The Vibe with Kai, where I'm always posting things that'll help you do good, feel good, be good, and live a good life full of good vibes. Jared, John, Jacqui, my friends, I missed you so much.
We missed you.
So happy to be back. Thank you, everybody, for watching. As always, God bless and good vibes.
Yeah.